see me? Can you hear me? Can you let me know either way? I think you know what words I'm saying. Even if you can't hear me, you know what I'm going to say at the start of a chat. So just let me know if you can or can't. Here we are. Daniel, how you doing, mate? How's things? Sorry I couldn't join your live earlier. I was in the middle of work, unfortunately. Work gets in the way of life. It's so annoying. Loud and clear. Steve, how you doing, mate? How's things? Nice to see you, Is it nice? Busy in the garden, yep. Hello, yes and yes, Mandy. Botrix has correctly joined the channel. I assume that would be with cucumber sandwiches with the crusts cut off. A nice cup of Earl Grey with a little finger sticking out. Or is that for oldie worldy? I still drink Earl Grey. I don't think I put my little finger out though. Casper, how you doing, mate? You alright? Well, it's been a bit of a day, this one, hasn't it? Up early in the morning, after an hour's sleep. Could not sleep, despite the fact that I was absolutely exhausted last night. I just woke up and that was it. My head would not go back away at all. It was ridiculous. Loads of driving. My car has gone over 100,000 miles today, which is a big thing, isn't it? It would have been nice if it had been somewhere nice that it happened, but no, it was on the M57 on the Kirby turn-off. Not the most, fantastic place on earth, but it happened. We're over the 100,000. Goedenavond, Hadewig. Hoe gaat het? Yeah, I've just seen my mate in Tesco. Had a good catch up with him, which was nice. It's always nice to see him in there. He's a good egg. Yeah, so it's been one of those days, I think. I've only got one more early start tomorrow, and then I think that's me done for a while. No, actually I haven't. I've got to pick my daughter up every morning. But, yeah. It's no big deal, is it? Driving people around, driving your family around. It's called Autobiohazard, yes, because I've been driving constantly and I've got a cold. I thought if you put the two together, it perfectly sums up where I am at the moment. The thumbnail also has a little message on, by the way. I thought I'd be a little bit naughty and put a message on there in code. Plus I like the fact that it looks very sort of, industrial. Watching Feyenoord against Lazio simultaneously. Interesting. I forgot about the football being on tonight. Shit, sorry. It shows you what happens when my team is not involved. I don't really take much notice. The same as, to be honest, even when we are involved, I don't take much notice. On account of the fact that we are utter shite. 100,000 miles is 160,000 kilometres. Yep. It sounds longer in kilometres, even though it's exactly the same length. Weird, isn't it? There used to be a time when I was growing up where 100,000 miles on your car meant the end of the car. That was it. Every car that my dad's had, every Mini that he's had for doing his driving instruction, he's reached 250,000 miles on them, and they're still tight as a drum. It's ridiculous. Just how far we've come with motor vehicles. Saying that, mine will obviously explode tomorrow like a clown car, because I've just mentioned it. Had a week multitasking, of course, as women are very good at, as they keep telling us men, and we apparently can't multitask. But I used to do my job and 3 other people's jobs, and at the same time entertain everyone and make cups of tea and things all at the same time, so I'm not too bad at multitasking. We just like to drill down on one particular thing and do that, and to the best of our abilities. Honest, that's what it is. Kirsty, how you doing? Yeah, Steve, Vauxhall Viva with 50,000 miles on was definitely finished back in the day. A Vauxhall Viva with about 20 miles on it wasn't far from being finished, was it, to be honest? Although, do you know what? I absolutely love them cars. I never drove a Viva. I drove a Chevette once. I had to go and pick up a 22-gallon keg of Heineken from a pub in Formby and stick it in the back of a Chevette hatchback and the whole thing just went on its arse. Pastel blue Chevette. I think they look fantastic cars, them. Much better now than they were back in the day. Mind you, I think even looking at the Allegro, the ugliest car in British history, it's got a certain charm to it now which it didn't have back then. Plus, when you compare it to all the cars that look absolutely identical, all the jelly mould injection plastic cars that we've got, they seem to stand out a little bit. I saw a Mark III Cortina. My uncle had one when I was younger, which I thought was an absolute tank of a car. It looked massive. And I seen one just down the road from us as I was waiting for a bus. And in front of it, there was like a Honda Civic, and behind it, there was a Vauxhall Corsa or something. And both of those cars absolutely dwarfed the Ford Cortina. These are supposed to be super minis, and they're bigger than the huge saloons of the day. Strange. Mandy, how you doing? You alright? I know we had the Ford Sierra XR4i, which they used to call the jelly mould, which even that now looks so much better than the rubbish. Yes, how do we? Vauxhall is Opel. They're all owned by GM, aren't they? So in the States it's General Motors. In England it's Vauxhall, UK it's Vauxhall. Europe it's Opel, and in Australia it's Holden. All owned by the same company. So the Vauxhall Astra that we got came from the Opel Astra, which came from the Opel Kadett. So as much as we called it a Vauxhall, it was a proper Opel to begin with, that one. But GM being GM, and obviously big companies like that, why make completely different cars for each territory when you can just use the same one if it is suitable for purpose? That's what Ford tried to do with the Mondeo. The whole point of it being called the Mondeo was it was the world's car. It was big enough to be a saloon in Europe, big enough for Americans to actually want to get in it and drive it without it looking like a complete compact. You could throw a massive engine in it and sell it to the Australians, so it was supposed to be the world's car. It's a shame that's gone. I think everyone in the UK will have had or been in a Mondeo at some point. Mandy must be close to levelling up. I don't know. Someone must be close to levelling up. There's lots going on, isn't there? Oh, where's my thing as well? As I say, on the thumbnail, I've put a little bit of a message in code, and the place where I found the code was on a website called Boxcentric, BOXENTRIQ, Boxcentric, which I thought, is that related to Botrix? Is it a sign? It must be. Was it Citroen that bought Daewoo? I'm not sure about that. I know Daewoo are a massive company though, weren't they? They make ships and all kinds of weird stuff. Mandy's got a phobia of Vauxhall Cavaliers, especially sky blue. Is there any reason for that, or is it just because they're sky blue Cavaliers? We only ever had one of them. We'd gone from the XR4i, which was fantastic. When you closed the door, it sounded like the front of a church closing. Dunk, the whole thing shook. And then we got into the Vauxhall Cavalier, and when you closed the door on that, it was just like flicking a tin with a P. It's horrible. Little tiny, shitty little thing. And it was an SRI, so it was supposed to be the quick one. Now, coming from a 2.8 V6 into that heap of shit. Horrible. That's why I never liked Cavaliers, just because of that one car. Oh, we had a Vauxhall Vectra for a hire car or a courtesy car once, after I'd crashed the Sapphire that we had. Didn't like that either. The clutch was horrible. Steve, a beige Cavalier. Now you're talking. That's a proper 70s, 80s car, that, isn't it? Everything was beige back then. Brown and beige, or orange and brown. Brown car, beige car, brown vinyl roof, brown interior. Now you're talking proper 70s. You have several wandering dunes. Isn't that a song? Why do you whisper green grass? Mad stalker. Ah, right. That's why you don't like the sky blue Cavalier. Man, if you're going to stalk someone, don't do it in a sky blue car. It sticks out like a diamond in a bucket of shite. Hedwig, you should buy a new car, but you spend all your money on the vet. You know what? What makes you more happy? What brings you greater health to your heart? Yeah, lovely boy, lovely boy. Lovely shoulder, show 'em off. That's on a Mad Sky channel at the moment, isn't it? One of those, is it Together TV or something? 171. There's loads of Mad Sky channels showing. Sorry's on there as well with Ronnie Corbett, which is superb. I love watching that. And there used to be Forces TV used to be on, and it showed the Brothers McGregor, which obviously was a sitcom set in Liverpool, where they were just wide boys. Obviously, still funny, but and also it was good at the time to see actual Scouse accents on the telly. There wasn't too many of them. They'd always bring someone in from some part of leafy Hertfordshire who had no idea how to do the accent. Terrible. Anholt Island, Northern Europe's biggest desert. Didn't even know we had deserts. Walking 60 kilometres to work and back doesn't make you happy. Maybe you do need to get a car then. A newer car. The liver birds, ugh. Yeah. Where was it? Netta Hughes was from North Wales, wasn't she? I think she might have been from Rill, actually. And who was the other one? She was from somewhere in Accrington or somewhere in Lancashire, trying to sound Scouse. The worst Scouse accent I've ever heard in my life. And then Bread, another Carla Lane, for sake. Play up to the stereotype. Just ridiculous. And again, getting people from Manchester to play Scousers. Stupid. Just, there's loads of Scouse actors. Get them. Although saying that, Bernard Hill is from Manchester, and him as Yozza Hughes was absolutely outstanding in Boys from the Black Stuff. Although Alan Igban, who played Longo, just didn't even have any pretense of being from Liverpool. He just played it as a pure mank. I think he played the same character and everything he was in, but he played it brilliantly. Fantastic actor, him. It's funny, Carla Lane, she always wrote stuff which I thought was utter shite until, was it Butterflies she wrote? Did she write that, or am I making this shit up? Butterflies, and I managed to watch it again not too long ago, possibly last year. Wendy Craig played the fantastic, the mum in it. And obviously you don't see many sitcoms written by a woman, about a woman, from the woman's point of view, so it was interesting if nothing else to see. 70s sitcoms in general, yeah. I was going to do a video actually. I've mentioned loads of times about my comfort in familiarity stuff that I do, Red Dwarf and MASH being the main two. But also, I think I'm going to have to put The Good Life in there. It's on during the early evening, and I always find myself just absolutely chilling out and zoning out watching it. I absolutely love it. And I know it was in The Young Ones, wasn't it? About the bloody young ones, so nice, cuddly and all, whatever they called it. Adrian Edmondson kicking off as Vivian. And then he got interviewed. He said, actually, we loved it because it was a fantastic sitcom, which it was. It still is. And has possibly the greatest English sitcom character of all time. Not Basil Fawlty, Margot Ledbetter. Absolutely superb. Just nails that the posh side of life, looking down on people brilliantly. Cats and dogs are like the weather. Yep. If you don't have that, you can always talk about them. But the weather, oh my word. It has rained pretty much non-stop all day. But in the last 4 times that I've taken my sister to the hospital, on the way back, on the same stretch of road, we've seen a massive rainbow. And we said it's going to be a lucky theme, this. She said, if we see it once a day, you're going to win the lottery tonight. We've seen the biggest and clearest rainbow I think I've ever seen in my life. Looked like it was painted onto the sky. Absolutely incredible. And the arc from one side to the other was just perfect. It ended up being a double rainbow at one point, but it was absolutely amazing. The sky looked really dark. There was light behind us, really bright, and then that rainbow on top of it, stunning. So obviously tonight I'm going to win the Euro Millions. Obviously, I mean, it's a sign, isn't it? The lottery has that rainbow riches. There's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. We've seen them for the last 4 days. It means to be, yep. You have a sand-buried church. It was nearly wiped out, so they moved it back about 20 metres. Some of the dunes are 40 metres high. Sand dunes are crazy things, aren't they? They make noises, don't they? They sing, or some sand dunes sing. When the wind goes over them, they vibrate and create a noise. I know they do in the Namib Desert on the Skeleton Coast in Namibia. And of course, the whole world at one point is going to end up looking like that, like a sand dune, due to the second law of thermodynamics. All things tend to atrophy, which they will do. They'll just break down into nothing. And then somehow something else will come along and rebirth and life will start again. They do rumble real low. Yet rainbows are circular, therefore no end, no pot of gold. Yep. And no lucky charms either. I did have to point that out to me sister in the car earlier. I said they are actually circle, we just can't see the whole circle because it goes below the horizon. Although there are times when you can't see the whole circle. Normally you'd have to be, I think, fairly elevated to be able to see that. It's crazy though, isn't it? Just how they suddenly appear and then they can go within minutes. But for that fleeting moment, the entire sky is like a canvas. For pots of gold, you need to get yourself a metal detector. Yep. Detectorists, now that's another great sitcom. Not from the 70s, but absolutely fantastic. Nice and gentle. Normally, when you hear the word gentle comedy, it's shit. Gentle means no jokes, whereas with that, really funny, well written, brilliantly acted. But the fact that you're out in the open air, seeing beautiful countryside, and seeing sort of middle-aged men acting like middle-aged men is superb. I like that. I wouldn't go and get a metal detector though, on the back of it, obviously. Might find a bomb, might find medieval treasure. Good chance of finding both in this country, definitely. Probably the same in the Netherlands and Belgium, Germany. There's been quite a bit of it found over here. I know there's a massive find at Sutton Hoo, which seems to be the famous one that they always talk about. Loads of was it Roman coins and helmets and trinkets and things. I like the idea of metal detecting with your mate in the same way I like the idea of fishing, but I wouldn't like to do it. And you can't just say to your mate, let's go and stand in a field for 20 minutes or something, and then occasionally jump up and down saying I found something or I've caught something. Bombs are more likely, yeah. See, I don't know why that didn't show up on the Twitter chat, but it showed up, the YouTube chat, but it showed up on Botrix. Bizarre. Found a golden Roman helm nearby. Steve, the film, The Dig, I think I might have saw that. It sounds really familiar, but I can't remember much about it. And I don't think it was that long ago that I watched it. Who's in it? Yeah, I'm sure I've seen it. Got a whole ghost story about a headless knight in the swamp around the helmet. Yeah, right. So once you find one thing, there's loads of backstory behind it. Bot is being a bit quiet, isn't he? But he is definitely still... We're still signed in. Definitely still signed in, so it should be working. Some amateurs in 2016 found gold artefacts amounting to 1.5 kilos of gold, or 3.3 pounds. That's a lot of gold. The original finder was fucked over. Of course he was, as always. Rafe Fiennes, yes, I have seen it. The wonderful Rafe Fiennes. And he nails the accent. He's a brilliant actor, him, isn't he? I just think he'd always play the posh fella. And yet he was an absolute psychopath in Bruges. He played the concierge in the Grand Budapest Hotel, which I absolutely love. He's superb in that. Wes Anderson really does get some fantastic casts. Puts them together. I don't know how he manages to afford it. They must all do him a favour, because absolute Hollywood A-listers, and he gets every single time. Is right. Some fella in your village found several silver coins. It's not going to tell him which field it was in. The local heritage group. I'm better annoyed. Yeah, mess back with them. Otherwise, you just end up, thousands of people will be in there digging away. No doubt over here, you'd be forced to court. Be taken to court by someone and being told that you have to tell people exactly where it was, otherwise you'd be going to jail for the rest of your life. Because that's the kind of place we live in, full of half-wits. Not full of half-wits, sorry, run by half-wits. I'm going to have to watch that again. I'm sure that was about 2.5, maybe 3 years ago. Pre-stroke, I'm going to have to watch that film again. Alright, so he was sued, but he won his case. Yep. Don't have to tell you anything. Just do a Norman Stanley Fletcher in porridge. Say you found it in your own back garden and get someone else to come around and dig it up for you. Still going in the fields around town. I would do. Even if there was nothing there, I'd still go there and just watch people panic. Robin's Nest, now that's one, isn't it? Richard O'Sullivan, wasn't it? And the Irish fella, the one-armed Irish fella. The one-armed Irish cook, is that right? Or am I getting that wrong? I'm sure. I know it was Richard O'Sullivan, wasn't it? And the Irish fella who was in Fawlty Towers is the builder as well. That must have been a great thing back then in the 70s. Right, you always play the Irish fella. There's a black fella. You always play the black fella. There's a Chinese fella who used to be in absolutely everything. Same with MASH, actually. They used about 4 or 5 genuine Korean actors for loads of different recurring parts, just to make sure that they are actual Koreans on the show. George and Mildred. Do you know what? I never liked that at all. But I bet you if I went back and watched it, I don't know if it would be funnier than I realised or better than I realised. I probably would be. People hate when it's on their land. Yeah. They hate the fact they could lose out on loads of money by not being able to develop the lands, but at the same time, you've got to make sure you look after these things. Love Thy Neighbour. Oh, yeah, I was talking to my sister about that in the car, actually. About some of the things that have been banned. I mean, Little Britain and Come Fly To Me have been taken off Netflix because, let's face it, they've aged like yogurt on a radiator. Awful. Love Thy Neighbour. Same thing. It might have been acceptable then. It's not acceptable now. You can't come out with the things they were coming out with. Thankfully, we've moved on. Shelley. Now, Shelley was fantastic. That's on BritBox. That is now. I was watching that last year, I think it was, and I was surprised just how modern it felt. It wasn't like a normal 70s or 80s sitcom. It feels far more sort of meta, a lot more modern. If you watch it again now, I hope you see what I mean by it. The whole thing about it just seems really up to date. The Cuckoo Waltz, yeah. Man About the House, another Richard O'Sullivan. On the buses, that used to be on ITV4 or something during the day. Reg Varney in his 50s trying to play someone in his 30s. Just looked a bit seedy at times. And poor old Olive, burned to death, didn't she? Died in a house fire not too long ago. Poor sod. The Likely Lads, you know what? Considering that was written by Thingy and Thingy, oh shite, what's their names? Dick Clement and Ian LaFrene. I didn't like it. I don't know if it's because they were Geordies and obviously I lived in Middlesbrough and I just didn't like them up the road, but I mean I've got Geordie mates so it can't be that. And I love everything that Clement and LaFrene have done. I mean look what they're responsible for. Porridge, Alvia the Same Pet, Lovejoy. I mean jeez. Fantastic stuff. And yeah, I didn't like the Likely Lads. No worries, Kirsty. Keep on slidey writing. That's what we like to see. Your sister digs too deep, she finds bones. Ugh. Yeah, the graveyard borders on her garden. I don't think I'd be digging too deep if there was a graveyard next door. Oh no. Especially if you found one that seemed to be crawling from there into your garden, trying to get out. No, no, no. What was the one with Leslie Ash used Eine kleine Nachtmusik as the theme music? That does not sound remotely familiar. No. Why don't I know that? Should we Google it? Kev, how you doing, mate? Now then. We're stuck in the 1970s at the moment. 70s sitcom land. If you put in Leslie Ash, by the way, into Google, it comes up with, the first thing comes up with is Leslie Ash's lips. Obviously, which, an incredibly pretty woman, great actress, and then all of a sudden just decided to make herself look as though she'd been punched in the face by a speeding train constantly. Married to Lee Chapman, of course, that absolute knob. Poltergeists. Oh, in Denmark, all the grave sites are reused when the relatives stop paying. Bit harsh, that, like, isn't it? Right, what have we got? Leslie Ash. I don't know why I'm watching this or looking at this because I would have no idea which one it was. She was in Shelley. Yeah, I forgot about that. Anything else? She went into the Two Runnies. I said, I didn't realise that. No, I can't work out what it was. Was he famous for men behaving badly? Another one which hasn't really aged brilliantly. Very, very laddie, wasn't it? But still quite funny, actually. She was a totally average person, so hard as a vox pop. Alright. The graves are rented for 10 years and they need to be renewed in the Netherlands too. If not, the bones go into the common bone pit. Now, come on, that has got to be a proper... That's a band name, if ever there was one, wasn't it? Some kind of goth band. A Fine Romance, or was that in the 80s? Oh, let's have a check. A Fine Romance. Where are you? Where are you? No, not showing up on IMDb. Matthews, not everything does. We had some great stuff in the 80s, the 70s and 80s. I've said before, haven't I? I'm absolutely disgusted with BritBox for putting 2 series of Boone, 2 out of, I think it's 7 or 11 even maybe, and only 2 series is on. So I come to the end of series 2, about to go into series 3, and there's nothing on there. I am disgusted, absolutely disgusted with them. Add a few more at least. But I'll have to go back and start watching I'll Be the Same Pet again. I have to do that occasionally, because again, there is a comfort in familiarity, and I can then head back to where I was at the time, which would have been in the Netherlands actually, and our mate Carlton used to send over the videos to us. You have a place in the graveyards for the unknowns, for people that don't want a gravesite. The Shit Pit, is that what that one is? I'll have to start thinking about that myself, aren't I? All the adverts are on every single day. Over 50s plan, over 50s plan. Sort yourself out with a funeral plan. That's shit, really. Give us a break, will you? I'm trying to get over this. But I'm going to have to look at it. Although I think work, the union pay for some of it. Your death in service, that'll pay for loads of it. And to be honest, just throw me in a pit somewhere, I'm not asked. I don't need to have a headstone. I don't need people going there whinging every 5 minutes. Tell you what you can do. Just put a little bit of me, a little pot of ashes in the end of a show mic on a road thing, and stick that in the middle of somewhere, and then you can go and stand in front of it and scream out Botrix for half an hour. That'd be the way to do it. A Dutch translator on the IT crowd. That'd take some doing. Although the father is easy, isn't it? Father! Steptoe and Son is an absolutely glorious piece of work. The one with Leonard Rossiter in it, escaping from Wormwood Scrubs, absolutely superb. Some of Steptoe and Son was almost Shakespearean. Harold with his little monologues, and some of the two-handers that they did. They never really needed loads of people involved in it. Just them two, you could end up with loads and loads of comedy, not just comedy, drama as well. The interplay between dad and lad. I like the fact that it's similar to Porridge, where you're stuck. Harold was stuck in the house with his dad. There was no escape from him, or there was no. He couldn't feel like he could escape because he couldn't leave him alone. And every time he thought he was just about to get away, his dad did something to drag him back in. It's the same as being in jail. So you are trapped, and as soon as you're trapped, They're trapped in that relationship together. Porridge, they're trapped in the jail. Red Dwarf, they're trapped in space. They can't get away from each other. That's where you get all the comedy comes from. Being stuck together, being marooned. Which again is why you don't see... There's loads of comedies where you don't get that. The IT crowd, they're sort of trapped together. They're trapped in the basement. They're trapped with the fact that they've got no outside friends. They haven't got the social skills to move away from where they are. So there is that. I mean, if you look at, like, I don't know, Friends or whatever, it's they're not really trapped. There isn't the same kind of thing that you've got. There needs to be something that's jarring for me to make it that little bit extra special. Terry and June. Again, that was not something I ever thought was particularly funny. I might have to go back and have a watch of that. I thought Ever Decreasing Circles was really good though, which in itself seemed to be a similar kind of thing, but Richard Pryor's playing that his usual horrible, unknowingly horrible character. He does that brilliantly, or did that brilliantly rather. Yeah, some of the 70s ones were hit and miss, weren't they? There were some that were genuinely just, I mean, I don't know, I don't say going through the motions, but whoever was writing them, any old shite will do. But some of them were absolutely fantastic. Rising Damp is still one of the greatest things ever written. Not just hilariously funny, which it was, brilliant cast. It addressed a lot of the issues that were prevalent in the UK at the time, with having a major black character, one who got the better of Rigsby all the time. If you watch from series 1, episode 1, all the way through, you can see bit by bit, every series, Rigsby warms to Philip and changes his attitude, sort of is chipped away. And it's lovely to see, and obviously it's always lovely to see when the misogynist or the racist or the homophobe is being made to look stupid, because they are. So I always like when stuff like that happens. And of course, Leonard Rossiter, good Evertonian, by the way. Fantastic. But a superb actor. And of course, the fall and rise of Reginald Perrin, another absolutely superb, amazing programme. Another one that seems a little bit ahead of its time. Definitely. Brilliant. I like the fact that it's just a little bit, it's a little bit off the wall. With little dream sequences and his mind going, whether his mother-in-law's mentioned the hippo waddles past. Love all that. It ain't half up, mum. It is where we started. But there's loads of stuff like that. There's no, possibly don't, or I didn't think they were overly funny at the time, but going back, they probably are funny in their own way. When Your Mother Met Your Father, he had these books, Gone with the Wind, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, and the autobiography of Muhammad Ali. Mate, that is an absolutely fantastic triumvirate of literature. You can't go wrong with that. You're covering all bases there, really, aren't you? There's nothing that you've missed out in life if you've got them 3 books. Haruki tried to read Anna Karenina, you couldn't get through it. I tried the same with War and Peace when I was trying to impress myself when I was about 14, 15, and it was just, nah. The only thing it was useful for was standing on to get to the cookie jar, which was no use at all because I was 6'4" at that age anyway, so I was changing light bulbs for everyone constantly. Mandy, you actually had the Whispering Grass single. Have you still got it? That'll be interesting. I bet you loads of places, loads of households in this country had that. 'Cause didn't they get really high in the charts? Sure it did. Shit, what was his name? It was Windsor Davis and was it Don Estelle? Don Estelle was in the League of Gentlemen as well, wasn't he? they tried to use people that they were fans of, and they made sure Don Estelle was in. Yeah, Don Estelle, number one, got to number one, right? Yeah, so if you watch the League of Gentlemen, he has the roundabout zoo, which is a shitty little zoo on a roundabout. Brilliant. If I ever got round to making a sitcom, I'd try and do the same thing. Just get as many people in, as many as your heroes, just have little cameos, just stand in the background, have a couple of lines or something, be nice to see you. Donald Estelle Artois, as his full name was. It's great, isn't it? All our yesterdays. But yeah, I still think The Good Life stands out as one of the ones that's being repeated at the moment. Really does stand out as one of the best out there. The stuff that's being shown at the moment is shite. Dad's Army is being shown at the moment. Obviously, Gold are doing an animated series. They found a load of old tapes, so they're putting them to animation. Dad's Army, I can take or leave. Some of it I thought was absolutely hilarious, and some of it it's old school humour. Which, if you watch the Fast Show and you watch Arthur Atkinson, to me at times, Dad's Army felt a bit like that, where I'm looking at it thinking, where's the comedy? Where is it? I just don't understand it. Why is it funny? But it's because it was a completely different era. But some of it still is superb, and Don't Tell Me Your Name. Yeah, that's got to be one of the greatest lines in sitcom history from anywhere in the world. Don't tell him, Pike. Just perfect. If you've written that, then you can have the rest of the day off. You don't need to write any more comedy after that. You've nailed it for the day. Don Estelle sings I Should Have Known on the B-side. I did not know that. Maybe I should have known that. Filmed in Norfolk. Was that Dad's Army? How do we? It's you know what? It is quite funny. Like I say, it is quite funny. Some of it just doesn't land with me at all. But possibly it's because me age. Yep. Where's me washboard? Hell queer. Casper, your 10-year-old nephew is estimated to be about my height. Yes, it's crazy, and it's funny when you have the sort of I don't want to say growth spurts, because they're not growth spurts. Growth spurts, you go a little bit. These are, I don't know, growth phenomenons. You suddenly just appear from nowhere, and it looks like you're wearing shorts when you put your jeans on. It's just mad. And it can happen within the space of a couple of weeks. It doesn't have to take really long. It's so strange. And it is the most tiring thing of all time. More tiring than a stroke, which is horrible. But that age, going from 5'10" to 6'4" in the space of 6 months, almost finished me off. It was horrible. Kirsty, never been keen on Dad's Army. Like I say, it's one of those shows where I can watch it and not have to turn it off. But at the end of it, I'll think, yeah, that was all right. That was quite funny. But I'm thinking, just why? Good Life was good when it's on. Yeah, I love it. It's one of those things that I know every word to it because I've watched it that often. But I can put it on in the background and just sort of work along in my head to it. I love it. When you were young, the only English series there was Keeping Up Appearances. Right, that's another one that's funny at times, but there's an attempt with me, I think, they tried too hard. And who was it who wrote that? Was it the same fella who wrote Open All Hours? Or was it? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? And Patricia Routledge is a fantastic actress, really funny, superb doing the monologues on Victoria Wood's show. And then she was also in Steptoe and Son, wasn't she? She appeared as the medium, who played that superb. Geoffrey Hughes, yeah, good Scouser. Lovely man, apparently. Used to be regularly seen in the pubs of Garston, where I'm from, back when he was playing in Coronation Street. Yeah, so you learn to listen to the English accents from watching that. That's the only way you can learn, really, because if you watch just American stuff all the time, and then suddenly you get something from a random part of the UK, you will struggle to understand the word that's coming out of them, because we don't talk like that at all. It's just, I mean, if you watch Friends constantly and think you can speak good English and then watch Still Game, you will think it's a completely different language altogether, which it is, to be honest. In Glasgow, it is completely different, but yeah, you have to watch a lot of English comedy. I think the lads show that all the stuff that they've watched over the years. If you go back and watch some of the early videos, they were possibly struggling to pick things up, but now just anything you give them, they can sail through it. So I think just that constantly get yourself used to listening to it, and of course watching gobshite scousers like me chatting on stuff like this will help. Yeah, the same when we were living over there, most of the stuff that was shown, if they did show anything in an English language, was American, which doesn't really help. I mean, you will learn English from it, but it doesn't prepare you for coming to the UK. And I think, to be honest with you, if Spencer's coming to the UK, the best thing he could have done is spend the last 2 years watching all kinds of different stuff, because otherwise you'd just be overwhelmed when he got here. Whereas now, I think he'll be sound. He'll thrive when he gets here. Especially going to see our Liam. You, man, you. Oh, that was Sean Ryder, wasn't it? Don't matter if it's out of tune, because you're cool. How do we? Listening to me always helps. That's going on the t-shirts. Listening to you helps too. That's a merch idea. Yeah, Spencer got his ticket. So it'll be interesting to see what he thinks of it when he comes over. Kirsty, yeah, don't put the good life on enough. It's on Gold, I think it is, every day. It used to be 2 episodes every day. It's only 1 now, but to get to the end and then start again, which I quite like. Casper's been on a UK TV binge about 10 years ago and still haven't stopped. Yeah. Good when you get stuck into stuff like that. Spencer will still need interpreters. He will do occasionally, because it is crazy. Even the English can't understand the English. If you go to somewhere that you're not really from, just go half an hour down the road. You might struggle with some of the intricacies of the language, but he's got a much better chance now, hasn't he? It's not like a completely different world to him now. He understands. Be funny. It really will be funny to see what he makes of it. Arrives in London on the 6th of June. I would suggest that's the best place to start as well. If you're coming into the country, just start there and then start to make your way out of London into the better places in the country. If anyone is, if you're watching this on demand and you're not from the UK and you think they're coming here, the UK is more than London, and it's a lot more than London. But it's nice to start there, dip your feet in. You'll recognise all the tourist landmarks, get yourself used to it, and then go and see the likes of Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham, North Wales. Fantastic place. The Lake District. Go to Scotland. I dare you, go to Scotland. Just be kind, nice mannered, and you'll do well up there. Go to Belfast as well. Steve, did you need to go to Norfolk, or do you not want them, untidy in the place around there? Norfolk, if you get a chance, go. It looks lovely. I'm gonna have to go. It looks fantastic. I might go on a Lovejoy tour. Is he meeting people when he comes over? No doubt he will be, won't he? I'm sure he will be. I'm sure there'll be people who want to take him around their own particular areas and show him what's what. Make sure he's all right. And there will be loads of people, won't there? A Scotsman, a Scouser, and a confused singer from Maryland walking into a pub. Yeah. Having a Scotsman and a Scouser together, and if they both understand each other and talk quickly, will sound like absolute nightmare to people who are not from over here. Yeah, Kirsty, keep the date free. You might be the very first tour guide. Scotland was beautiful. The Highlands were so barren, very few trees. Yeah, I've never been to the Highlands, not yet anyway. I've been to Glasgow. We've had this before, haven't we? The reason why there's no trees was the Highland clearances. All the people had to go, and all the trees were chopped down just to make sure that you could have animals on there for grazing, and it's ruined what would be a normally gorgeous looking place. I mean, it's still gorgeous, but there should be a lot more woods and trees up there. The sheep are all that's where all the sheep are, is where all the trees used to be. Yeah, you'll want mothering. Yeah, that's straight away. I was going to bring that up, but you've got beat me to it. Sorry, you've got to introduce Spencer to the Tesco meal deals before he leaves London. Yeah, if you get the hang of Tesco meal deals, you will thrive in this country. That and Greggs. If it's raining and it's cold, go and get yourself a Greggs. North Wales, yeah, the only thing around there is castles, which is more Dan's thing. I must admit, that drive, which I love doing, whenever I used to go to Llandudno, the drive across the North Wales coast, the amount of castles you go past is stupid. It's not a huge country, and these are only a small fraction of the castles that they have in Wales, but they're just incredible. You know, literally every few minutes you feels like there's another castle, another stunning castle. Go to North Wales, you will love it. You will absolutely love it. No rainforest anymore in Scotland. Yeah, crazy. There should be. There should be proper. The tiger. Again, we mentioned that the other day. The tiger that goes all the way from North America across Northern Europe, back around to North America. That one continuous band. We don't really have that in the UK, and we should do. It should be a huge part of the very, very northern tip of Scotland. Are there towns in Europe without a castle? There will be, but I'm sure most towns will have at least some kind of remnants. Um, where I work in Liverpool city centre, or where I used to work, the old building was on the end of Castle Street, and it was where the old Castle of Liverpool used to be. So there are remains, but it's been sort of hidden over. Unfortunately, we have a habit of doing stuff like that. Things that would be superb for tourists to come and see, we'll throw concrete over it and put something shite up. Go and spend your money in there instead. The Welsh and Scots don't hate us English. I think they hate the English, the government, in the same way that we in the north hate the English government. If you ever go for a pint with a Welshman or a Scotsman, they're always sound. Absolutely always sound. It's just they hate being governed by people that don't care about them, in the same way that we in the north despise being governed by people that hate us. It's the same with Scousers and Manx. I was going to bring this up actually. This happens every time I've been away, anywhere in the world. Yeah, us Scousers, we hate the English, we do. And the reason why we do is because of what's happened to us. Margaret Thatcher was trying to put us into managed decline because she couldn't get any votes here. Putting an entire city into managed decline, allowing it to go bankrupt, is a disgusting thing to do, to treat people that way. And then to lie about Hillsborough and to cover it up for all those years. That's the reason why Liverpool fans especially will say Scouse not English. For me, I'd rather the England football team win, but when they lose, they get beat 100-0, it wouldn't bother me in the slightest because I don't give a shit about them. And that's the reason why. If you treat people like shit, they will act like shit, so we don't like them. Not English. I'm European. Yeah, but the Scousers and Manx thing as well, like I say, everywhere I've been in the world on holiday, as soon as you open your mouth and there's a Scouse accent, a Manx will come sidling up to you. You alright, mate? And get talking to you. So I'm glad you're here. The rest of these are knobheads, and I'll be talking about people from really shit towns who've got horrific political views and social political views and things. And they always know that if there's a Scouser there or a Manc there, you can go and have a laugh with them, have a drink, and you'll be sound. So we all have a habit of sticking together, which I like. Each country in the UK sort of has its own government. They have their own elections, but they're local, sort of same as a sort of local election. Overall, we still have the UK elections, which is the general election. So the votes in England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland still count towards who gets in charge in the UK, and they still pretty much run everything. And it's always run by the people in Westminster, in London, in that little bubble. They've got no idea what's happening in the rest of the country. And they run it for their own benefit, for the benefit of themselves and the people who put money in their pocket. And it's not good. Not good at all. I mean, that Bibby Stockholm, the ship that they're putting all the asylum seekers on, it's a prison ship. You have to remember, these people are not prisoners. They've not done anything wrong. They haven't gone to court and been sent to jail. And we're putting them on a prison ship. And it's costing billions just for it to be moored up. All that money is going into the pockets of people who fund the Conservative Party. They've actually worked out it would be cheaper to send every single one of those people on a Disney cruise indefinitely than it would be to keep them on the Bibby Stockholm. So that's not saving money. That's just pissing it up the wall because it's going towards the people who fund you. The rail strikes, they're going to spend £2 billion in agency payments and court payments to stop a £1 billion pay rise. They could have given everyone a pay rise, which the money would then go back into the churn of the local economy. But they don't want to do that because they don't want to be seen to be losing out to the unions. So they'd rather double what they would pay normally just to stop that from happening. It is absolutely ridiculous. Crazy. There you go. In 1830, the count were to pay less taxes. This thing never goes away, does it? The rich never want to pay their what they owe. It's just stupid. Everyone paid just a little bit more, or everyone paid what they owe. Everyone will pay a little bit less, to be honest with you. That's how it works. Like in this place, again, they're having to go with people on benefits, trying to strengthen stopping benefits. Benefit fraud, error and fraud was about 1.2 billion a year last time I looked, whereas tax evasion was 13 billion a year. If you had a chance to claw back 1.2 billion or 13 billion, which one would you bring in? Which one would you spend more money on getting? Yeah, go and attack the working class and the non-working classes, the precariat, because that will get you the votes that you want in certain parts of the country. Stupid. So in Denmark, you've got 98 counties and 5 regions. So you've got county elections and regional elections. Netherlands has 12 provinces and 3 special municipalities that don't belong to any province. What are the 3 special municipalities? I know the 12 provinces, or I should know them anyway. Overijssel being the best, obviously. Did I buy a Euro Billions ticket? Yes, I did. I've won in the last 5 lotteries. I'm going to say won. It's cost me £10 to put on, and I've won £2.80, £3.90, £5 and a lucky dip, and something else. So I've lost loads, but there's always been a win. There's always been a message with news about your lottery ticket every night. So hopefully, with all the rainbows and everything, tonight is the night. And if it does, the next stream is going to look very, very different. No, it wouldn't. It'll take me a while to set myself up in a nice place. Special municipalities are Bonaire, Saba and St Eustatius. Very nice. I used to do alright actually over in school with the Dutch geography. I used to know where all um, the capitals of each province and where they were and wherever in the major cities. Did alright with that. I think I'd struggle a lot more now, obviously, but there you go. Jeff, yes, Jeff. Actually, speaking of Jeff, we'll have to go and check what he's up to. If this thing bloody works. Tales from the Crypt with Jeff. What's this one going to be about? Oh, his first job after leaving school was in the Demon Dry Cleaners. Jeff looks ripped there, doesn't he? He had to do his national service. He was a natural with the bang bang bleed bleeds. He looked dodgy, and his career as an Uber driver didn't last long. He wasn't suitable for a funeral pickup. Well, the bang bang bleed bleeds is a new one on me. Not much of a euphemism for murdering people, killing people. But there you go. North Brabant. No. Got to be over IJssel. Got to be. It's fantastic. It's a lovely shape and everything. Jeff put a sock on it. Jeff needs to shut up. Also needs to change his message, which Jeff forgot to do because Jeff was rushing around Tesco till quite late before the stream started. Yeah, even though you live in Limburg, North Brabant. Now, we used to drive through North Brabant on the way home. We had a couple of ways we used to go. Makes you think of Brabant, not far from there. I bet you there's loads of places around Northern Europe with very, very similar names. Again, this seems to be a thing lately. Talking to my sister about how things are named. Because there's loads of names that sound the same. And we were talking about Kirby, near Liverpool. Kirkby, pronounced Kirby, but written Kirkby. And the reason why is Kirk is an old Scottish word for church. It's the same in Dutch and German as well, isn't it? Kirk. And BY just means this place was by the church. It was next to the church. That's how you get Kirby. It's not a overly romantic way of naming places, but it makes sense. The same with Ormskirk, which is nearby. The Church of Orm. He couldn't get a head round. That's how these places got the names. Kirkdale. The Dale. A big field next to a church. That's where this place was. So we call it, Kirkdale. Brabant has always got, very heavily into the production side of things. Kirsty, there's going to be a drive-through Greggs. I haven't heard that, but I know there's an all-night, 24 hours a day Greggs in Newcastle, so it wouldn't surprise me if anything to do with that. One of Greenland's counties contains the world's largest national park. Is it a national park, or is it just? It's like part of the country. No one's allowed to go there. Anything that lives is fine. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Eat a quarter of meat. Eat a quarter of meat. Who is Greg? Yep. It's a fine dining establishment in the UK, Greggs. Although, like I've said, if it's cold, it's wet and raining and you're miserable, a Greggs sausage roll, there's nothing finer. Loads of grease all over your hands and down your chin and everything. Perfect. Denmark started the first ever drive-through baker. I know the US has got some really crazy drive-through shit, haven't they? Drive-through banks. I understand why that would be a good thing. Um, was there Billy Connolly talking about a drive-through taxidermist? I'm not sure if that was real or that was just him taking the piss, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think he mentioned it was in Hollywood, so nothing would surprise me about Hollywood. Yeah, a 24-hour drive-through, Greggs, for when you need emergency baked goods. And there will be emergency baked goods when you desperately, 3 o'clock in the morning, need a pasty. You just need a gunkster of tons of polar bears. That would shit me right up, that. Lovely looking things, but nah, just don't even piss around with them. Massive, aren't they? Yep, a sort of Svalbard. A drive-through strip club. Have you got one of them, have you? How many people break down in there? Have run out of petrol, sorry. You don't have a Greggs near you, Steve. That's just... How's that possible? I thought they were everywhere. I thought they were omnipresent. Death, taxes and Greggs. I thought they were the inevitabilities in life. Yeah, how does it work? A drive-through strip club? You put your hand out and swipe your card? No, not a good idea. Or beep your own when she's finished. Your nearest Greggs is 20 miles away in Norwich. Man, that's heavy. I suppose it's the yin yang, isn't it? It's the benefit of being away from such ridiculous idiocy as busy city centres and Greggs and 24-hour a day bakeries and what have you. But yeah, if you want a sausage roll, I suppose you have to make them yourself. Why not? It's a good trade-off. No Greggs for living somewhere beautiful. I think I'd take that one. Is it next to the pump station? Yeah. And maybe it's like a car wash. You have to go through it really slow. Barnsey, how you doing? You'd have to go through it very, very slowly. And keep your hands on the wheel at all times. Otherwise you get kicked out. Yeah, that part of Greenland is patrolled by 2 special soldiers on a dog sled going up and down the 2,500 kilometre coastline. I've seen that. I've seen a programme on the TV and it showed you the fellas. Same thing, strapping the gun on the back and off they go with the sleds. And that's all they do. That's their entire job, going up and down there, checking everything's all fine. Chroma's only let McDonald's in the last few years. Good old Chroma. There's too many of them. Everywhere, aren't they? Far too many. Ubiquitous. What are they patrolling for? Weren't they just making sure that people weren't digging for oil and spoiling the natural beauty of the place, and also patrolling to make sure the Russians weren't gathering on there and stuff? Is that where they have the war with Canada over a tiny island? I think that was mentioned in the programme, so that might be part of it as well. Keeping an eye on people trying to... Greenland, apparently, they think there is a possibility that there could be huge mineral wealth underneath it. And they don't want to start messing around with it. They don't want other people turning up and start digging and drilling and what have you. Iceland doesn't even have an army. Because no one would be fucking stupid enough to try and invade Iceland, would they? Freezing cold and it's full of volcanoes. It's not good. You can't set up a mobile army surgical hospital on Iceland. Used to be to keep the Norwegians out, now to the USA, China and Russia, yep. They haven't got an air force. Man, you don't need them. If you're not offensive and you don't piss people off, you don't need all that. You can save the money you would have spent on an army and on bombs and weapons and what have you, and just use it to evolve as human beings, which is what a lot of countries should be doing, rather than spending billions every year on things that could just kill the entire planet over and over. Spend it on education and looking after people. Barnsley level up, brilliant. They've got 2 Coast Guard boats, of course they should have. If you've got a huge part of your economy is through fishing, especially cod fishing, then you need to make sure you've got people out there willing to save. Iceland did have a cod war with us a while back. It was pretty naughty as well, that one. Until we got to the point where cod was almost wiped out of the seas where we were, just completely overfished. So they had to stop it and make sure that they were allowing it to restock. Yeah, well, the Russians, obviously there's lots of nuts people over there, one in particular, but they don't seem to bother Iceland too much. I don't think Russia will be too much of an issue for too much longer. They're the same as most other countries. The next generation of kids coming through are all pretty much anti-war and anti-climate change and things. And there's only so many people you can make fall out of the windows of high buildings before. Not good. Iceland was Danish till the Second World War. And Iceland is a NATO country. How can it be a NATO country if it's got no navy, no army, and no air force? Or are they just providing the buffet or something? Fish finger butties all round. The Russians don't have a next generation left. Everyone's got a next generation if they try hard enough. A lot of Icelanders still speak Danish as a second language and English as a third, and loads more. They're very, very well educated, aren't they? Yeah, Russia will eventually fall into 22 different countries, all of which will be fighting against each other. People need to wind their necks in, really, don't they? Yeah, if they're a NATO country, they don't need to have a military because there's one there already. And they are definitely a strategic location in between the United States and a lot of Europe and Russia. Yeah, ideally placed. You'd always protect stuff like that, of course. Right, so many of the ones that speak Danish are old enough that they didn't have English in school. Iceland doesn't even have a railroad. Yeah, it's just a strange country, Iceland. But, boss, I like the fact that it's just completely different. The people are different as well. There's a certain kind of, I don't want to say lunacy to them, but there's an eccentricity about them, which I quite like. I always like that. If you're just a little bit sort of odd, works wonders. Yeah, having an army would be a bit much if you haven't even got a railroad. How would you get around? Denmark doesn't even have a river. How? How is that possible? Not even a single one. Not even a trickle. Even we've got one just round the corner. Yeah, Nederland is a river. Pretty much. But a beautiful one. The Rhine, of course, marvellous river. Yeah, 4 rivers. Also a very, very well placed country, Netherlands. As is Germany, again, which is why there's so many US air bases there. You can get to a lot of places in that were heavily involved in the Cold War if you're based in like the Netherlands or Germany or the UK. The Rhine, the Maas, the Waal and the IJssel. The Waal was the one I always forgot. I always remembered the IJssel because of IJsselmeer and Overijssel. Maas, yeah, Maastricht. And the Rhine being the biggest. Right, so you've got streams and waterways, but there are certain criteria. So there are some that are big. You would classify them as rivers, but not officially. Alright, so it's just because of the classification, there's no actual official rivers in the country. I would think that would be a very strange thing to have a country on Earth that doesn't have at least one sort of major river. The Waal goes next to Nijmegen. I'm trying to think back to my school days. I remember there was 4, and there was one that I could never remember. Obviously, that's the Waal. I'm sure I had to draw them on a map as part of one of my school days. Oh man, the moon's gone out. Only just noticed. We're toddling along, aren't we, with this? Yes, there's a very, very famous bridge in Nijmegen. From Operation Market Garden. Yep. A bridge too far. You have one waterfall, it's 8 metres tall. You saw it on a 2000 school trip to the island of Bornholm. Great things, waterfalls, aren't they? I think we've got a few over here, which won't be any taller than 8 metres either, I don't think. It's when you go and see those massive ones, I mean proper huge, like whale scale waterfalls, they look absolutely insane. Oh, there's a challenge eating Trump Hadderich and famous bridges. Bornholm had 455 hours of sunshine this June. I think the northwest of England had that in the last decade, or it feels that way anyway. It's called Sunshine Island. Very nice. Just what we need to say. Sunshine Island. Every country should have a sunshine island, a sunshine island off the coast. There'd be no need to go anywhere then, would there? The average for London in June is 192. Yeah, I've got a mate in Sweden. He was always going on about it's permanently raining in the UK. How do you manage to live there? I had to point out that Sweden has more rain on average than the UK does. Just couldn't believe it. Well, yeah, don't forget the UK takes into account not just the south of England, it's all the wet places, the Northern Ireland. I've been there a couple of times, and every time I've been out of the building, out of the hotel, out of the work building, it has rained at some point. Doesn't matter when you go, it just rains constantly. Manchester famous for rain because of where it is. Liverpool's not far behind it when it comes to rain either. Loads of waterfalls in North Wales. Aber is your favourite? Yeah, I must admit, like North Wales, there's some fantastic waterways. I always like going to Llangollen and seeing the water coming down over the what do you call it? It's not waterfall, but they are falls, aren't they? Fantastic looking place, that. One of the neighbours used to take us there all the time in his car. Just drive from South Liverpool. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Öresund. Oh yeah, it goes from bridge into the sea. The Erasmus Bridge, yeah. And if you want to cheat, the Neil Chance. There's some fantastic bridges. Must have the ones in the Netherlands. There's one where they've got one as well, haven't they? Where it, the bridge goes underneath the water. So it's a bridge that goes all the way across the IJsselmeer, which looks crazy. But there's that one. The cars go underneath the sea, which looks bizarre. That's why the cotton mills were here, because it's damp. Yep. The whole of the whole of like sort of northern Lancashire and Manchester, perfect. It's ideal for it. And then on the canals to make sure that all the cotton can move around. Fantastic. But again, they always having to go at Manchester for the weather. But where you are, you've got the Pennines, and it just creates rain. You've got the water coming in from the Gulf Stream, the hot wet air coming in from one side, the cold air coming in from North and Northern Europe. When it meets, it's going to piss down with rain. Of course, it is. Always raining in Blaenau for Stiniog. Yes, a famous song. That sounds like a Half Man Half Biscuit song, that doesn't it? It's always raining in Blaenau for Stiniog. There's a song by a band in Liverpool called "It Never Rains on Mossley Hill," and I always thought, yeah, you're right there. I can't remember it ever raining, despite the fact that I always used to go drinking down in down Rose Lane in Mossley Hill, and yet there was floods there last week. So they're gonna have to change the name of that song. I think it sometimes rains in Mossley Hill. Yeah, I think I've got a few of them over there, haven't you? How do we? They look crazy. Just seeing cars going underneath and a boat just sailing across the top. Mad. Yeah, there's a few underground rivers, isn't there, in London? Um, some of them were accidentally found when they were building the metro subway underground. Um, they come across them and didn't realise they were there, and then yeah, there's loads of them pinpointed. Don't think you'll have any waterfalls in London because you're not quite high enough. I wouldn't have thought, but not far from there, I'm sure there will be some. Casper, you're gonna go to Greenland, Disco Island and Disco Bay. Yeah, canals. There's loads of canals in London. Camden Lock, famous. If you're a canal boater, there's loads of people like to go there, but they seem to disappear very quickly because it's shady, as apparently very very shady. Loads of fountains, yes. Gonna get snow next week, are you, Barnsey? Jeez. From being warm and sunny not too long ago to pissing down with rain now to snow next week. Marvellous. You live in the driest municipality of the Netherlands. It's a depression in the landscape, so the clouds always move over without raining. Ah, that's interesting. But as Manchester's completely different because they have got all the hills, the Pennines, little mountain range, completely down the middle of the country, just means that it constantly rains right over there. Um, People will go to Manchester for it, but it's no different to, I suppose, the likes of Huddersfield or Leeds and Bradford will be the same, all suffering from the same part of those. The yearly sunshine hours in Liverpool is 1,502. See, we always learn something on this. We really do. Bornholm normally it's 2,000 plus. Definitely Sunshine Island. Although I will say there's not many better places on earth than Liverpool in the sunshine. It is absolutely glorious. Absolutely love it. Especially when it's a really, really hot sunny day and you walk down to the river. Just go and walk around the pier head, watching the river going by. Gorgeous. 40% of all canals in Amsterdam were changed into road in the 1920s to 1960s. I did not know that. I know some of them were. I didn't realise it was 40%. That is a shame. I suppose you'd have to move around. You can't go by canal for everything, otherwise you'd never get anywhere. It's such a nice slow pace of life, but jeez. Where's Horace? Right, well, before Horace, we'll have to go and see what Kibbers has to say. I forgot about that. We're having such a good time. We're flying by today, aren't we?
Kippers, kicks, ass.
Right, there we go. Squiggly mirrors and mushrooms. How Generation Z, Gen Z, are decorating their first homes. As Zoomers become renters and homeowners, they have their own TikTok circulated pastels and checkerboard aesthetic. Please, for the love of Jeff, have an individual thought of your own.
Kippers, kicks, ass.
Got to agree with him on that. Stop just copying the herd. Do your own thing. I hate trends. Why do things trend? And why is it as soon as you see a trend you have to do the exact same thing? Just enjoy your own thing, man. It's ridiculous. Yeah, now they're trying to get cars out of the city again. Too late. Well, they can get cars out of the city because I've seen the video of it, what it used to look like, and then they changed it so it's a lot better for getting round. But yeah, they'll never go back to having all those canals back, will they? Where you live in London, Kirk, the underground rivers that burst a few decades ago. It's literally a massive lake or swimming pool, depending on who you ask. Yeah, depending on how warm it was, and you can't have a stream without them at all. Individual thoughts, right? Just don't follow trends or the herd. Think for yourself. I mean, a lot of people do like the same things, obviously, but just that constant thing of just copying. Well, this is what's good at the moment, so we'll all have to do the same. Don't. Just do what you like. Do what you feel like. Do what makes you happy. If you want to make your house look like it's the inside of a Gothic castle, do it. Don't have to put the same paint up and the same paint schemes and live, love, laugh above everything. Be your own person, man. Be your own person. Yeah, unless you dig up the whole road. Government's not going to do that. Never a chance of that happening. Yeah, it wouldn't be impossible if they invest in decent public transport. But like most things, unless it actually benefits them themselves, it doesn't happen. So unless there's money to be made in it, which the PPE lanes that we had over here, there was money to be made in that from the people at finance, politicians, so they made sure money was thrown at that. But if it doesn't really fit, doesn't suit people, and there's no money to be made out of it, they won't do it. Yeah, man, you pick the things that you like, whether it's trendy or not. That's the way people should be. It's just wherever tickles your pickle, man. Wherever tickles your pickle. Make yourself happy. Don't need to follow trends. If anything, make the trends follow you. Some cities have gotten car-free or almost car-free centres. That, again, I think that's happening all over the world, isn't it? To be honest. Liverpool still isn't car-free, but they're reducing the amount of cars that go there as much as possible. Bit by bit, euthanizing, Jesus. Pedestrianising the inner city, which they should do, because it's now a really big, popular tourist town. You don't want cars around there constantly, especially when there's no need to have cars in the middle of Liverpool city centre, unless they are delivery vans or things like that. You can go just outside the city centre, park up, and get a train in or a bus or whatever easily enough. There's no need for it. I mean, I will be driving into work while I can, but I could easily get there by train. I just need to build up to that, I think. Yeah, as long as it's purple, of course. Of course, Steve, it's got to be purple for Mandy. Who misses. Groningen is entirely car-free these days. To be fair, who the fuck wants to go to Groningen? That's my take on that. Last time I went was we played a tournament, a football tournament. Spoorclub Enschede, Groningen, their youth team, Feyenoord's youth team, and someone else. It might have been Ajax, actually. I think Jordi Cruyff was playing for Feyenoord's youth team at the time. And we won. And I played right back rather than a striker. No good. It's a problem if it's a main road that goes directly to central London. And yeah, it joins the motorway. It would be a problem. London's another one where, do they really need that much traffic in the city? Genuinely. Having the best rail system imaginable. But, I mean, do you really need to drive through London? Who needs to drive through London? You don't need to. Come on, Barnesy. No one's nicked me up caps, mate. Now, we're alright nowadays. It's not that kind of theft which is the issue these days. The entire car might go missing to be used for something nefarious, but how do your colour is green? Yeah, mint green. You and Jeff. And Jeff hasn't mentioned mint green for a while, has he? I wonder if Jeff could turn up with a mint green suit next week. Lots of students in Groningen. You've only been there once for the City Museum. Right, so again, students, not really car driving. If you're trying to get yourself educated, you're spending most of your money on things that you need to do for your education rather than cars. More bikes, yeah. Liverpool's quite a big student place as well, which is why everything's being turned into student accommodation. Not particularly good. Yeah, it does. Mint goes very well with blood on the walls. It's a perfect combination. That'll be the next trend. We should TikTok that. Get Jeff on TikTok. Jeff Designs for Gen Z. What would Jeff be? What generation would Jeff be? Obviously, he's about 700 years old, so he predates Gen X and Boomers and the lot. Yeah, they don't need all the cars. People drive because there's roads there. If you take the roads away from them, they moan for about 10 minutes and then get to where they need to go to via a different way. Plus, I mean, we had to go to London. My dad almost signed for Chelsea back in 1982. And even then, this is before the roads were really bad, but it was still hectic. And we were thinking, why would anyone want to drive around there? And this is 1982. So it wasn't ridiculously busy, but it was still busier than it should be. So why would you want to drive anywhere? If you can get on a tube and within minutes get off at where you need to be. I can imagine footballers would need to drive to get to where they're going to. But the stadiums, to get from, Stamford Bridge is fairly central. Chelsea players would normally live near Harrow or something, don't they? To the west of the city. That's not right in the middle of the city centre, right in the middle of London, central London. So the rest of the team's a little bit further out. Their players can just disappear back outside of London to where they live. No need for anyone to really be in the centre, unless you're a taxi driver or an ambulance. People driving because they can't be arsed going any other way. Jeff is probably an Assyrian mass murdering vampire. He looks the kind, doesn't he? Definitely looks that type. He's got that certain aesthetic about him. Assassin's Creed looks like he might be somewhere just lingering in the background while it was being filmed. Do computer games get filmed? No idea. I just played them. Yeah, but he's definitely got that about him. If there was a good public transport from here to your work, you'd take it over the car. I think most people would these days, to be honest. If it was good, clean, cheap, efficient, and the trains or buses came very quickly, or trams, everyone would use it as much as possible. It takes 2.5 hours, and by car only 45 minutes. It makes no sense to go by anything other than car when you put it like that. Yeah, Manchester's good for public transport. You can get pretty much anywhere. Manchester looks really well set up for public transport. Again, I remember when you put the trams back in, If you invest in something and make sure it's well priced, well regulated, well run, clean, efficient, works perfectly. You've got the trains there. You've got a massive international airport. Manchester's really well placed, handy to get to anywhere. You can get anywhere in the country from Manchester get to London in 2 hours. Glasgow, I suppose that'd be about 2.5 hours. Um, Anywhere you need to go to from Manchester, you'll be able to get to. The only problem, of course, with Manchester and public transport will be Northern Rail, which just, I don't know what they are. They're not a rail company, they're a piss take. There you go. Yeah, well, it does suck living in a tiny village with a tiny bus every hour. But also, you're out of the way then. You're in a nice environment rather than being stuck right in the middle of everything that's going on. I've said before on this, just being in London sometimes, going for work, it's overwhelming. There's too many noises, too much going on. People just racing around everywhere. Like, just chill out, relax. It's not the end of the world. If you're going to be 2 minutes late for a meeting, or your favourite sandwich isn't there in Pret, you know what? Chill. On the autobahn, you can go 300 kilometres an hour. Yep. And everyone who's on there is skillful enough and well trained enough to understand that you don't just pull out from the middle lane into the fast lane. So you can do that kind of speed. Any bus £2 max or £5 for a day ticket. It's the way it should be. So one thing I really loved when I went to London was the fact that you can get on any bus or any tube train. All you do is get your credit card or debit card and tap in and out, and then it reaches a certain point, and then you'd reach your daily limit, and then that's all it'd charge you. You go anywhere you want for the rest of the day. That was a brilliant thing to do. If you want to get around Manchester, if it's only going to be £2 on a bus or £5 for the day ticket, you could travel all over the place, couldn't you? It'd be no problem at all. You wouldn't have to be driving. I've been driven through Manchester a few times, and it can be a pain in the arse. It really does get busy. We had to go to our office. I think we got there and it was busy, and then as we were leaving, it started getting towards rush hour, so it was getting busier and busier as we were trying to get out. If you don't need to, you wouldn't be taking your car into a city centre. I'd just about get away with it in Liverpool because I know the place so well. And I wouldn't be going on the major main roads. I'd be nipping through some places, but even then, take my sister to the hospital this morning. We hit not rush hour, but the pre-rush hour with the schools, and it took ages just to get from one little bit down the road to turn into the hospital. It took half an hour to get to that one section of road, and then 20 minutes to do about a third of a mile. Ridiculous. Yeah, that's why you can afford to buy a house there in Limburg. In North Brabant, the house prices are unaffordable. That's the same. I think in most countries, the only place you can afford to buy is somewhere that you either didn't want to live in the first place, or somewhere that doesn't have the amenities that you would prefer. But by the look of it, it looks fantastic where you are, and a lot of people have been moving from. Lots of people that lived in London that worked in whatever areas they worked in, whatever sectors they worked in, who can easily do that work elsewhere, have moved out and moving further north because the money buys huge houses up here for what they were paying for small flats down in London. And they're finding it, the pace of life is more to their liking as well. I mean, as much as I love going to London, I love meeting my mate down there, going for the coffee or going for a wander around and seeing things. It's also nice when you come out of the place and just go to some of the places up north. It's stunning. I mentioned Huddersfield. You go through there, through Manchester, then through to Huddersfield on a train going to Leeds. It looks amazing. It looks like Emmerdale Farm, the old Emmerdale Farm. Just gorgeous looking houses. It'd be lovely to live there, dead quiet. But I suppose it'd be miserable because it's raining and windy and stuff. But still be good. get on 2 buses within the hour and you don't pay for the second journey on the Oyster card. Yeah, that's why I don't mind stuff like that. It seems like the whole of transport for London has been thought out quite well. There's proper joined up thinking with it, and it's worked well for me that day anyway, that weekend rather. It's 100 kilometres an hour, is that, between 6 and 90 and 7 o'clock of an evening. Also changes during the the speed changes during the day. That makes sense. Yeah, you didn't like living in the city. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, same bands. If you know the back streets, 10 to 15 minutes, but if you get caught out, it's going to take you ages. Yeah, that's exactly the same with us. Because even though I'm not from the north end of Liverpool, I do live north of Liverpool now. I've now known my way around getting through Vauxhall and places like that, just missing out where I know the bottlenecks will be. But getting to Southport, I've still got to, whichever way I go, I've got to go through 2 places where there's going to be absolute bedlam. So just take me time when I get there, I'll relax. It's another 20-minute drive once we get through the bottleneck to get back home, and I'm alright. Living in a bigger city, I didn't mind. I never lived in the middle of the Liverpool city centre, and we were always towards the outskirts anyway. I don't mind it, but there are times even when I go back to work, it's again, it can be a little bit over the top. There's too much going on. Just loads of people. I mean, the Liverpool city centre is busy, and when it's things like a match weekend, Liverpool are playing, or the Beatles festivals on or something, it is absolutely rammed, and you can tell people who've got slight issues with being out and about in busy crowds will struggle big time. But you can just move away slightly, and it's a lot quieter. Yeah, how do we say the city's convenient when you're in your 20s? When you become a family or you start just getting older, you don't need to do all that same stuff. You're not out and about caning it all the time, getting hammered or out raving and what have you. Just you reach a certain point in your life, which normally I think it is possibly your 30s when you start slowing down slightly, just enough to start appreciating something a bit different. So yeah, I'll just relax a little bit now. I don't need all the hustle and bustle, the hectic lifestyle. Somewhere we can go and relax for a while. Yeah, the Midlands during your 20s would be fantastic. I don't think you'd be able to move back now, Mandy. If you're used to being in a place that's a bit more serene and relaxed, going back to somewhere which is hugely, I mean, Birmingham especially, the Midlands, the Midlands area around Birmingham, even the satellite towns and cities, just chaos, absolute chaos. Too many people. Yeah, I wouldn't want to go back to noise all the time. It'd be horrible. I know the same. I don't mind it when I have to go to work because I know at the end of the day I'll be going home. But I do like the fact that it's a bit quieter. I was saying to my daughter, I went to pick her up a couple of weeks ago. It was on a Friday night, 10:30 Friday night. And I couldn't believe how quiet the roads were and how quiet Southport was in general. It wasn't like that 20 years ago. Maybe 30 years ago when I was in my teens and 20s. Southport used to be absolutely heaving every weekend. It's not anymore, and the roads are quiet. So I quite like the fact that it's chilled. I go for a walk during the day, and I'm not dodging cars every couple of seconds. Steve nodded off. Is that my soporific voice, or am I boring the life out of you, mate? Is that what it is? It does happen to the best of us. I fell asleep on the sofa earlier on. To be fair, I only had an hour's sleep last night, and I was in the car very early this morning, so I deserved it. So my lunch hour from work was spent on the sofa asleep, giving it honk shoe, honk shoe. Don't use the rickshaws in London, they're not regulated, they can charge you what you want. Someone was charging nearly 200 quid for a 20-minute journey. I would like to see someone try and charge me 200 quid for a 20-minute journey. Both of us would be on the front page of the newspaper, I think. Yes, you're trying not to move, don't want to stare at any sleeping dogs. Yes, they'll be needing a pee soon anyway. Oh, you're still recovering. Barnesy, no worries, mate. Cheers for popping up. Go and get your beer sorted. You need that. You definitely need that. It's the day for it. If it wasn't construction workers pile driving in the background, it was being either pile driving, non-stop noise. We had a whole new estate made just around the back of here, and they were pile driving constantly because it's all built on sand and really, they shouldn't be building houses there, to be honest. It's a floodplain as well. Some of the houses that they built, there's now subsidence and cracks in the walls in them and things. But they were just pile driving for month after month after month, non-stop. It was awful. Mandy wants a cider. Or a cider. Yeah, warn Spencer about the rickshaws. It might look cool. Don't do it. Spencer, if you're there, don't do it. It does. Not only does it drive you nuts, where they were building used to be a tip, a refuse tip. So when they were doing the pile driving, they were just dragging up all kinds of stuff that was there. I never used to have asthma. I used to have hay fever, that was as bad as it went. I've now got asthma as a result. I'm convinced it's I can't speak English, as a result of them pile driving and digging up shite all the time. It's horrible. Yeah, make sure it's around the time when he comes over, because he probably will forget about it. Do a little card, laminated card for him. Don't fall for this shit, don't fall for that shit, don't speak to them. I would have thought most people coming over though, I mean, the underground's pretty famous. Stick with that. You're not going to go too far wrong doing that. Unless you're a Brazilian, of course, at which point you might get shot. But and that's by the police. Got to keep on top of it. Bloody hell, we are getting late. Gonna have to fit him in, aren't I? Horace's haikus. I need to do a sound for him as well. He's not happy. Am I a rapper? Notorious TED? Or just a goth bear? Horace, well, he does wear black, doesn't he? With his little white patch. He could be goth. We don't know. They ask, there's something gothic about him, slightly goth about him, even though he does occasionally slip on into a bit of tweed and listen to jazz and do some painting. He's a very, very Renaissance bear, this Horace, but there's a goth about him. Plus, he's getting old. I mean, 50. In bear terms, is probably as old as Jeff in bear terms, in bear years. Definitely, he's got something goth-esque about him, isn't there? Goths can do all that. He could be a penguin, but he doesn't like fish. And he doesn't like the cold either. So no, he isn't a penguin. He could be a nun. Doesn't believe in God though. He's an atheist bear. He doesn't want to bear false witness. That's what it is. Yeah, I think there's definitely something gothic about Horace. He's lived a life. He's seen some things. And I'm sure I've seen him bop into Susie and the Banshees and the Cure. It could be a waiter. Now you see, he could have been a waiter in a previous life. He does look as though he's got the patience to be a waiter. Penguin is the only Welsh loan word in Dutch, right? Very nice. It's nice having loan words, as we should, all of us that are in that same little area. With all that people going back and forward to each other's countries, there should be loads more words that are loaned between us. There certainly is whenever I stub my foot. There's lots of different languages come out when that happens, including a lot of French. Yes, that gets mentioned quite a lot. Cutting gets a very regular airing, as does Godverdomme. And despite being an atheist, even Jesus Christus gets used occasionally. Although none of them seem to have the same kind of I don't know, impact as you tap dancing twat, which is what I shouted the other day when I banged my arm. Don't know why I called myself a tap dancing twat, but there you go. These things just come to me in a flash of inspiration. What time are we on? Oh, right. Penguin is the Welsh spelling. I like... The Welsh don't give a shit, do they? They spell everything... A lot of it's spelled phonetically, which makes perfect sense to me. But also stuff just doesn't make any sense at all. Having a word that can be 27 letters long and not a single vowel in it. Bizarre, but fair play. Got to make sure that we keep things like the Welsh language and the Scottish Gaelic and those languages, got to keep them going. It's part of our history. Our long and ancient history. Let's have a quick look. How people are doing on Botrix. Thousands of points going on here. Plenty of levels as well. Is it just because the English put random spaces in words all the time? We don't put random spaces in words. We separate words. When there's two separate words, we don't put them together, which Dutch and German do all the time. And it's a lot of it's stupid, to be honest. Some of them German words are ridiculous. It's like, you don't need to have all those letters in one go. There's about 6 different words there. Just separate them into their own little words. Okay, Kirsty, no problem. Have a nice evening. Yeah. And we don't have words like, what was the Dutch one? Kindercarnavals op toch voorbereiden, I think it was, wasn't it? It was one of the longest words in Dutch language. The preparations for the children's carnival or something. Why does that stick in my mind? Compound nouns, yeah. It makes speaking different languages very, very dangerous. You end up with a tongue blown up. Not good. Yeah, don't forget to lock your door, Kirsty. Make sure you do that. English does keep Welsh going, you just don't know it's Welsh. It's mad, man, isn't it? So the longest Danish word is... Oh, no. I'm going to do that. Speciale gespreks is plainly... Oh, nah, I got lost. I almost tripped over my own tongue there. That's too long. That's not a word. That's several words welded together. You don't need to have words that long. It's mad. Speciale praxis, planleg. Oh no. Special practical plan. Stabilising period. Yeah. Barnsley's back. Have you got your ale, mate? That shows you. Dutch, Danish, German. Not a huge amount of difference. Mind you, special and plan and stabilising and period are also English, so we're all connected, aren't we, these languages. We all come from the same place. Did you get the beer? Did you get the cider? Did you get any alcohol-free wine? Quick jog to Aldi, sorted like a Manchester postman. Happy days. That's what we like to see. The cognates are fascinating. I find language just in itself absolutely fascinating. How it develops, how it moves, how it differs from different places, how it's the same in different places, how the language can be like 2 completely different languages within the same country, but 20 minutes down the road. Draki just stormed in and woke up Arvin. this is not good enough. We don't need this. So we're looking at dog pee time soon. We are, aren't we? Oh, shite. 5 to 10, we've been going for almost 2 hours. To start wrapping it up then, I need to go and get myself an alcohol-free red wine. I deserve one today. And what else I need something. I've got to do something else as well. I can't think what it is. Do Aldi still do the peach schnapps copy? They do everything, don't they? They copy absolutely everything. My sister was talking about it. She couldn't believe what they get away with just by changing one letter. So you still know exactly what it is. Legolas still pretends to be asleep. You'd have to get lager in. Yeah, well. Needs must, Barnsley, needs must, mate. When the devil drives. Don't mention the devil, Jeff will turn up. Yep, so I'm going to start finishing up, get myself sorted. I've got something to do and I can't think what it is, so it can't be remotely important, can it? But it will be something that'll come to me. Yeah, I'll get there. But as always, thanks very much for turning up. Thanks for every stream teaching me something. I do need to sleep at some point. That is definite. And no doubt I should be able to tonight because it'll be 2 exhausted nights in a row. But I always think that, and then my brain goes, "Nah, you're all right. We've got stuff to sort out," and then keeps me awake. But yeah, it will come to me. But I love the fact that we learn something in every stream constantly. There's always stuff going on that I've never heard of before, and it's fantastic. We need a bell for last orders. Many people would say I am that bell, that cheeky Scouse bell. We do. So thanks very much for your time. I will try and set up another one, hopefully Sunday, obviously, and.
All right, let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Thanks very much.